Welcome to episode. Actually, it's not even an episode, it's a webinar of Girl Talk right here, SKST Radio Studios. And man, I am so excited. I got like four powerful women on the set with me today. And first of all, let's just let you know who they are and let you know who they are. So get in the chat room, say hello to these ladies, and we'll answer any questions you may have. But we're going to start with the ladies at the top.
Oh, I'm Vivian Mills. I'm a microbiologist and biologist, and I'm interested in the arts. I now have a shop and a website entitled Hogan's Now and Then. I collect antiques and collectibles. I shop auctions just about every day, and all the states of the Union I buy from, and I ship them back here to Virginia and either put them on my website or put them in my shop, which I call my gallery because it's only a small composite of what I have uh, for people to see and hopefully buy. So that's what I do. I'm a retired microbiologist, as I said, but I found out that I needed something to do. I got tired of staying home and deciding what time am I going to have my next meal. So I got out and started doing things, and I guess work helps me to be more healthy and productive.
Wonderful.
So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evangelist Robin Roundtree, and my actual career and my vocation as an evangelist go hand in hand because I work with the continuity of the mind of dementia patients to help their walk with dementia become a lot less stressful. So that's what I do for my career. But it is a ministry because you have to have love and compassion in your heart in order to do this type of work for people. And you have to care for the person that you are caring for. And it's the same thing with ministry. You have to have a heart and compassion for the people. So, my vocation as an evangelist, I'm always ministering. I also have a podcast with SKST Radio, Healing for Your Mind. I also have a radio broadcast where I broadcast every Saturday from 12:30 to 12:45 p.m., Healing for Your Soul, and I minister on radio. And then I also have a television broadcast where on Tuesdays I from 2:30 in the morning Eastern time, I come on the Now Television Network with Healed and Made Whole, and I talk to people about trauma and their past traumas and not letting it control them and how to heal from these things. So everything that I do is based around healing, and I just love the space that I'm in. I'm on every Wednesday night with Healing for Your Mind with SKST Radio. So I want to give hands up to SKST Radio and Cami Grayson and all the other networks as well. But I'm very much so into people healing wherever you need healing in your mind, your heart, or your soul so that you can function properly because trauma has taken so much away from people and it's taken so much away from the original self. So, because I've been healed and made whole and I face my own traumas, I realize now, I didn't know it then when I was going through stuff, but it was designed to help someone else. So I'm just very happy of the space that I am in right now. And I'm just loving everything that I'm doing. And I want to say thank you so much, Cami Grayson, for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
So the lady underneath me.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Leatrice Hudson, social worker by trade, empower women and people, equipping them to live better lives for themselves. What I do professionally is I work with individuals to try to get them off of the system and into work. My thing with telling them a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing coming in, and just trying to change the mindset to get people to go to work. Um, I'm also a creative. I make jewelry, handmade, custom crafted jewelry with different mediums. I use crystals, beads, wood, just different things making jewelry. I have my website. That's my little outlet for me, but it's also my little side gig that I do. But as far as ministry is concerned, I'm not in the ministry, but I am married to a pastor, so I have served uh, various women's group. Working with them, just trying to equip and empower them to live better lives and just to be who they are, who God genuinely created them to be.
All
Nice.
right. Nice. Well, thank you for having me on the show. My name is Tanya Oakes, and
Absolutely.
by trade, I am a salesperson for a distributor of pharmaceuticals. And by, I guess, choice and desire, my husband and I are recently purchased a segregation era one room school, black schoolhouse.
Oh wow.
And so we're in the process of renovating it. And so our passion comes from the arts and from Black history, and to ensure that our history is told in a manner that from the past, present, and in the future. So that's what I do. I'm a part time.
Awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, ladies, I can just tell you that I know each and every one of you. Two of you I recently met, but I see what you're doing. I see your goals. I see the passion for what you do, and it makes you wonder, what did it take for you to get to where you are? So recently I posted on social media, I saw this beautiful artwork where a lady is looking at her younger self, and her younger self is crying. Then I found another one where a younger girl is looking up at the woman who she wants to be, who she wants to become in the mirror. And so it made me think about it. It made me think really hard about the things that I went through in my life, the trauma, the things that you didn't know at the time that it was that, because you were living it. It was life. And so, what did it take for me to get to who I am today? And so I didn't purposely didn't say who I am, because I know you guys know who I am. But I work full time. I'm a marketing and leasing director for a mall. I also am the owner, creator of SKST Radio, and now SKST Radio Podcast Studios. I also am a PR company. I got the Cami Grayson PR agency, and I have a little side hustle, as my cousins say, selling Cami's Closet, selling clothes, upscale resale clothing. So all this is me. All this is me. And how did it get to be me? How did that person become me? And so that's why I brought you ladies together, because some of it's bad trauma, some of it's good trauma, right? I don't
Right.
think we call things good trauma, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So some of it's good and some of it's bad. But whatever it took whatever we went through, it got us where we are right now.
Mm.
With the help of the Lord getting us here, because you can't do it by yourself. And
Right.
so
Absolutely.
I thought about that. I thought about I brought this out on the air when I was on radio a few years ago. I made it through being molested as a little girl. My family had no clue of what I went through. My sisters, they went through the same thing, and you kind of boiled it down to looking at, why did this have to happen to you? We're in a well-to-do family. Our family was a great family. Stop me, cuz, if I'm wrong, but our family was strong.
Yeah.
We had dinners every Sunday at the grandparents' house. We all went to church. But somewhere in there, um, our I say my parents took a turn, where I wasn't sheltered the way I should have been when it came to that. And then you wonder why, as an adult, well, not as an adult because I know now, but as a kid, my grandmother took me out of that. My grandmother adopted me and had me. I lived with my grandmother. My grandmother raised me because of the stuff that I was going through. And so that sheltered me from that life that I had. But, I'm grateful, because if she hadn't done that, where would I be right now?
Right.
Where
Yeah.
would I be right now? I mimicked my grandmother a lot of ways. I even thought I could cook a little bit this week. It wasn't that good though, so I didn't get that far.
Excuse me. Maddie was a
Uh,
good
But
cook.
so that hurt and that pain, it really came afterwards because you block it out as a kid. You don't really talk about it. You don't really get it out. And so I feel like I was healed a few years ago when I started my talk show, because I was able to talk it out. I was able to share my story with the world, share my story with people who have the same similar type of stories. So I was always a go getter. I have my uncle. My uncle, I love my uncle. He was like a brother. He was always a go getter. Always looking for a job while he had a job. He was always on the hustle, always making it happen. And that's where I know I got that hustle from. I know that's where I got that hustle from. Me liking music and me being in a band, me dancing and learning, teaching. I had my own dance studio. That came from my mother. My
mm,
mother was talented. She could play piano by ear. She used to play piano for the church. So all those little nuggets that you got growing up, it helped. I can see where it helped me become the woman that I am today. And so I wanted you guys to share your story because I feel like it helps. It helped people to grow because we didn't have this before. We were able to have to keep all that inside. We couldn't share, especially being African American. This is stuff you
Right.
don't talk about. This is stuff
right.
that's swept under the rug.
Right.
You sweep under the rug that your so-called uncle, mother's friend, how everybody was your uncle when they came to visit. This your uncle below Joe over here. When that person crossed the line and decided that he wanted to mess with this woman's children, that killed that. That killed that. That killed your innocence. That killed all that. But you had to continue to keep going. You didn't know whether to share it or let people know what was going on because you don't talk about that. They tell you to shut up. They slap you in the mouth. I remember this a lot of times. Shut up, shut up, So now I see it all. I understand why that happened because that's what they were used to, right? You have to break that cycle. That's what they were taught to do. And so now we have a voice. We have a voice. We have an opinion. Ladies have come a long, long way from when I was a kid growing up. So feel free, ladies, chime in.
Not everybody all at once, but I'll just say I know growing up as a kid, from my mom, the things that she went through as a kid growing up, and how resilient she had to be, at the age of 18 with 4 kids. So I knew, seeing the struggles and everything that she went through, that was something that I didn't want to go through. But her resiliency is what made her who she is. And like I say, with the molestations and all this stuff that happened with her, she made sure that it was something that did not happen with her children. If we ever felt we were in a situation that, because she was single, she dated, and and if I spoke with her and let her know, hey, not comfortable with this person coming over, during the mornings when I'm up getting myself together for school, me and my sister, that immediately changed. But first, I was given the third degree. Have they said anything to you? Have they done so? Just knowing that my mom was that vigilant, to make sure that we were taken care of and not uh, violated in any way or whatever, I knew that she had my back and I could go and talk to her about anything that may have come up in my life. And that is the same type of relationship that I have tried to have and instill with my daughters as well, and my granddaughters, So it's just, we've all experienced some type of trauma. Your trauma may is different from mine, but in order to be able to address it and move forward from, we have to get to the underlying root of that trauma, see what brought it on before we can even address and move forward from
Mhm.
anything else.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I also think my mom was the oldest of 12. And so some of my aunts and uncles are, 5 or 6 years older than I am.
Hmm.
And so to grow up with a family that's so large, and then to see her struggle to, try to mimic the mother for everybody, to be all for everybody. along the way. Showed me too that, like you said, Miss Hudson, that hey, I maybe I don't want as that many children. I want to
Mhm.
scale my family back a little bit, so I'll have that autonomy to spend the time that I would want to on an individual basis, so that they can feel more protected and
Right.
comforted and loved. When you're trying to split and divide your attention, sometimes that's when unfortunate things tend to happen in the African American families,
Right.
because it's just a lot that we deal with as a community. And so I think it's important that we continue to have those dialogues, that we don't brush those situations under the rug. It's okay to talk about it. It's
Mhm.
okay to share. It's okay for you to cry, you to be angry, you to move on, and that's how we all heal from it. Because if we don't, then the cycle continues,
Right.
Exactly.
and then we'll have those traumas from the next generation to the next generation.
It's repetitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, my ladies in the studio.
Well, my trauma started when I was 5 years old. My father passed away, and my mom had already been married and had five other children, which are all my sisters and brothers. But they were planning to get married, and he passed away. So it was an issue with my father's mother that he was even with my mom, but that's who he loved. So growing up, I would hear little negative things being said because my grandmother was in my life. Don't get me wrong, she was there. She bought me stuff. Her and my grandparents, they lived in Kentucky. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. So we have a difference in culture right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that my mom was older than my dad, that caused the issue. But I knew as a little girl that they really and truly loved each other. And he passed away at the age of 25.
Oh
And
wow.
I was 5 years old. So I would go and visit my grandparents all the time. They would send for me to fly from Boston to Kentucky. I enjoyed going because they were able financially to do things for me that my mom wasn't able to do because she was raising six children by herself in the city of Boston, which was very dangerous in the 70s and the 80s. So I come up through the 70s, the 80s, and on throughout. But I always looked for my dad, so it led to me making choices of what I thought was love in the wrong faces. So I would, like for me, I didn't date anybody but dark complexion men. My father was a 6'3" tall, dark, handsome man. He had a gold tooth, which is considered maybe a Southern thing. So he was a basketball player. He was a star basketball player. And he was bound to go to the NBA, but his mom wanted to control where he went to college. So
Mm,
because he couldn't go where he wanted to go, he said, I'm just going to leave. And that's how he ended up in Boston and he met my mom. But it caused me to try to put pieces of him together because, see, we didn't have mental health. We didn't have in-home services in the 70s and 80s in any neighborhood, really, in the city of Boston, unless you were rich and lived out in the suburbs. So I didn't know this at the time, but I was looking for him. So it led to me choosing him in all the wrong faces. And it resulted in me becoming a teenage mom, not of one child, but of twins at the age of 17.
Oh
And
wow.
I was
mm,
in an abusive relationship with their dad. I didn't think it was abuse at that time because if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. So I thought I was doing what, well, no, I didn't let you get over on me. You hit me, but I hit you back real hard. So given that, you don't know these things, but they do
right.
affect you. And I saw where it affected my behavior, and I was angry all the time. It took nothing for me to snap off. But my mom, she was a very strong woman and she did whatever she had to do to help her six children. And I remember seeing her put herself last all the time just for her children to make sure we had the best of. And although she worked for the state of Massachusetts, she used to replace stolen welfare checks. And she worked
Mm,
for the Office of Finance. I and she I mean, I admired her because she would talk to us. She would tell us what to do, what not to do, what type of people to deal with in life and things like that. But it was me being hard headed and wanting to find my dad in love. And it caused me to go down a road that I really didn't have to take. But I ended up on that road and it taught me a lot. And I didn't know that it was trauma because I always felt like I dealt with and handled issues well. And but also it led to some emotional hurt later on in life by other people that I thought loved me. So given that, I had to seek myself, I had to seek God and find out what do I do to become the best version of me possible. And the Lord began to deal with me, and I started to read and study His Word. And this is what helped me, and this is how I overcame. And I even went and got professional help because it's good to talk to somebody
Mhm.
doesn't know anything about the situation so that they can just kind of be on the outside looking in. And I met a beautiful person that was able to help me with all these things. And once I did that, then I was on my road to redemption for real. And sometimes we think we're healed and we're not. We still have that space. So now that I have gotten all the help that I need, I now see where the Lord is using all of that for me to reciprocate and help other people. And I try to tell people all the time that healing is free. We don't have to walk around traumatized. We don't have to stay in that hurt little girl state. You have a lot of people that are in their 50s and 60s, and that's their anatomy, but their mindset is still stuck at 3 or 4, wherever the trauma took place. So
Right.
once I got
Right.
all that cleared up, then I was able to function as an adult, and I was able to go back to college. I was able to earn a master's degree. I was able to use my degree to get a job, a career that all falls in line with what the Lord had the plan for my life. And I'm doing it. And that's why I said earlier, I'm in the happiest space ever because never did I think He would use my hurt, my pain, my trauma, my emotional hurt, the abuse, none of that, the wrong choices, the looking for my dad who's never coming back, in the wrong faces. I never thought all my teenage pregnancy, I never thought any of that would be used to do what I'm doing now. And I'm just thankful. This is what I wake up and live and breathe to do, to help pull somebody else out of the grave so that they don't suffer. I want
Right.
to see women, men, children,
Yeah.
boys, girls, people become the best version of them possible because trauma weighs you down and it
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
keeps you stuck. And I don't want to see people stuck. I want to see us all reach to the next level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amen.
And amen to that. And you know, he uses our trials and our struggles to become our testimonies in order to use them to
Mhm.
uplift and help other people. But
Yeah.
we just got to be cognizant and realize that, you know, things, we go through things for a season, you
Mm.
Mhm.
know, and either we're going to let it make us or break us,
Yeah.
you know.
That's so
And like I said, he gives us choices. You can either stay in it, wallow in it, oh woe is me,
Hmm.
feel sorry for yourself, not get over it. But like you say, and for so long, the African American family seeking to go talk to somebody, that was taboo. We didn't do
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did not do that, and it's
Yeah.
still looked as taboo. You know, for some people, especially our generation. You know,
Yeah.
I'm 60, so you know you didn't go talk to nobody.
Right.
So a lot of the issues and things that we face, you know, growing up or that happened to us, we never learned how to deal with them. So we just carried that baggage. You know, like what's that song Erica Badu sing? Bag lady, you gonna hurt yourself.
Yes.
Mm.
Walking around carrying all them bags, you know?
That's right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, my life was different from what I've heard today because I grew up extremely poor. There were 5 children a mother and a grandmother living in a one-bedroom apartment type space. And as early as I can remember was living in that space. But uh, one thing I can say about my mother is she ruled not with a hand, but when you looked at her, you know what she wanted from you. It was kind of a silent kind of message that she gave us that told us, no, you better not do that. Don't
Hmm.
even try it. And she never had to push very far to get what she wanted. Now, in the neighborhood, because they didn't see a man in the house, they assumed that my mother was unmarried. But actually, she was married. And what I hate most is the perception that uh, people of our kind don't marry.
Hmm.
Oh,
When they see a single woman, they automatically assume,
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't married to anybody. Uh, but she kept a good watch on us. I can say that because the mistakes that kind of delayed my career were my mistakes. They weren't anybody else's mistakes. I was born very, very early. I was born in 1944.
Hmm.
wow.
So in 3 months, I'm going to be 80 years old.
Wow. Congratulations.
So
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
in the time
Congratulations.
that, I was brought up, she taught us the things like making a deal on a handshake,
Mm-hmm.
treating people with respect, no matter who they are, and having good manners uh, to everybody. And she did not dwell on the ideas of prejudice. If anything, she taught us how people should behave, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
And when I went to school, I could determine that there was a difference between me and some other people who had more because I was the second child. My older brother was the first. I was the second. So the second child is the one who gets the responsibility, especially if they're a girl. They're the ones who have to cook, and if mom isn't there, you have to support whatever mom could not do.
Hmm.
My mother, as soon as I remember, had a nighttime job as a maid for it was called Norfolk newspapers, and it was a precursor of a Virginian Pilot these days. So a lot of nights, she had to leave us to
Hmm.
work because my father, as this guy from Australia, his name is really Paul Hogan. And Hogan is my name as well. But he liked to walk about. So this is the agreement I have with my father. I would say to myself that he liked to walk about.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
I was always looking for my father too,
Mm-hmm.
because I had this dream that my father would come into school one day and he would come and pick me up, and all these things that you see on TV now with servicemen coming
Hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
Yeah,
saying, this is
surprising the
my
kids.
child, and I came back, but my father died. He never did come back. So,
Hmm.
I don't hate him for it, but I just wish that he was there.
Yeah.
But I also had a child very early, and it was probably more ignorance than anything else. But in my family, I felt that, you just did not have a child without being married. So I married somebody. And I know my mother knew what was happening, but, she didn't say anything. And I had a wedding. And the next year I had a child. And I still told my mother that I wanted to complete the things that we had talked about my doing, which at that time, you were either a preacher or a teacher or something like that. You didn't have all the
Nurse.
opportunities that we have
Yeah.
today, like engineering, architecture, and certainly not biology and microbiology. So with the help of my mother, I got a scholarship to, not a scholarship, actually a loan to go to Norfolk State. It was Norfolk State College then. But Norfolk State at that time, you won't believe this, but it was $400 a semester to go to Norfolk State.
Wow.
That's how
Wow.
I got my degree. If it had been all of these $1,000, tuitions, I
Great.
wouldn't have made it at all. And
That's the registration fee.
Right.
One credit.
my mother was very supportive because she could have said that no, I'm not going to do it. You made your own bed and
Mm.
you got to lay in it, but she didn't do that. She and I had talked about my having a career in teaching because teaching was one of those things that was acceptable for us. We couldn't do any of these other kind of jobs because nobody would hire us to do those things. But after that, I told her after I got my bachelor's in biology, I told her, I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to go on. So she kept my little boy for me. He was around 2 years old when I she let me go away to Ohio to get a master's and a PhD,
Wow.
and she
Wow.
kept my son for me. So that's why I'm saying that my failures were my own because
Mm.
I was so well cared for. I just didn't know the difference. When a man told me something was true, I just went along with it. That's
Mm.
all I can say. So I would have had a better introduction to life had I not succumbed to some adventures. But I got my degree, and I was married to somebody I didn't really know that well. So my first marriage lasted what, maybe a year, I would say. And during that time, while I was in college, the first time I had a job. I always had a part-time job, no matter what I did. I worked as a lab assistant. I worked as a retail clerk. I worked as a waitress. I worked as almost every job I could get, to help my mother support me and this child that I had. But after graduation, after I got my degree, you know, I came back and I worked for Norfolk State. And then I started looking at the salaries that you got paid uh, in Norfolk and in this area around that time. And I decided again, you know, to do something else. But by that time, you know, I did meet a guy in Ohio, and he later became my husband because he wanted a job as a policeman down here in Virginia Beach, and that's all he could think of being. So he came along with me. Again,
Mm.
the men that I have met always needed help in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I have a personality that it is very strong. Once I set a goal, I make sure I get there somehow. Over it, under it, around us, through it if possible. I get there, you know. And I try to use, I would say common sense sometimes. Sometimes it's not because I do things other people wouldn't do. I'm very outspoken, and outspoken doesn't go well in a lot of kinds of situations, especially when you work for somebody else.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't want to hear what you think. They want to you to do what they tell you to do. And a lot of times when you take these jobs, what they told you to do isn't even legal. So that's one thing that I've had to deal with during my career. But anyway,
Well, see, and that brings me to my point. So, all the stuff that we grew up looking in the mirror as a little kid, now here we are adults. Are we living the dream that we thought we would live? Is
I
it
am now. And it's because I pushed and pulled and did this to move myself in barriers. Wherever there was a barrier, I made some way to get over it. And I got over it without having to damage myself in any way, except to hear somebody said, "Well, we don't want to invite her to this meeting because if we invite her to this meeting, she's going to make us stop doing what we're doing." Because most of my career has been in enforcement, safety and health enforcement, and you can tell people that if you do this and that you're going to get injuries and people are going to get hurt, but they say, okay, if we do that it's going to cost us a whole lot of money and we don't want to put out the money, so let's leave her out of the meeting.
Mm,
Hmm.
Then we can
yeah.
go ahead and do what we want to do. so so I knew that was up. But anyway, I told them, if you do this, you're gonna get this. You're gonna get some people hurt. So, I felt good within myself because I did my job.
right?
It was you who prevented me from not doing it, you know. So
Right. So, is this the task that we sought out to have right now? I do know that we have a lot of young women who are not really working hard. We have a lot of women who are living on the system. We have a lot of women who, um, especially our age, grew up looking at Snow White, Cinderella, all these, the picket fence, and the prince gonna sweep you off your feet, and you just gonna sit at home and have babies. You have those women that thought that was life. That's all it was to life. But now we see it's a whole lot different. So is that something that we need to start working on, helping our younger women understand that they do need to go to school? They do need to put their with good foot forward, I guess you should say, to better themselves, opposed to just living on a system, opposed to just depending on a man to for their life, for their livelihood. So where can we help with Real Talk? Where can we what can we do to help our younger generation?
Well, Cami, I think I completely understand that. I see it a little bit in my own family at times, with the young ladies. I what I feel like with the new generation is that they don't have maybe that grit that we had to have in order to feel like you needed to get to the next level to achieve that. I think social media plays a factor in that they see people who are their age and they've got millions of dollars and they're flying here and they're flying there and they're doing all these things, but not realizing that there's still some sacrifice that that person had to make in order to get where they went. Right? We
Mhm.
don't just get there, and so I think it's important that we continue to have conversations about, a level of independence. We need to be able to, my mom always preached at the end of the day, if you leave this house and you go on a date with somebody, you need to figure out, know where you're going, how to get home and make it home.
Mm-hmm.
And,
That's the madness.
don't rely on anybody. Don't rely on him to tell you to go east when you should be going west. And so, leading with that mindset, it's always been important for me to share with the family members and the young ladies in the family the importance of independence. We all want to have a companion, at the end of the day, but you also have to be able to take care of oneself.
Yeah,
And self care is very important.
Hmm.
It's not something that I could say was traditionally done in the African American family in the past, but it's certainly something that I find myself encouraging the young ladies now to do. Take care of yourself.
absolutely.
You got to do that, and so I think that's some aspects of it that are important.
Yeah. You mentioned social media, and it's just the easy instant access that they have to everything. So they don't have to, they don't know, many of them don't know the gravity of working hard for things because things come so easy to them, or the easy access to getting things. Um, if we wanted to know something, we couldn't just pull out a phone and look it up. No, you either had to go to the
Mhm.
library or pull out those
Yeah.
Yeah.
encyclopedias that your parents had. You,
Yes.
you know what? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so it's just
Absolutely.
easy access to things. They can get it sooner than at once and quicker than right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's has made them lazy, entitled. You know, they come out of school. Some of them want to go to school, but they come out of high school and they don't want to work a minimum wage job, paying $15. Oh, I can go out and do this and make more than that, because they see that it's happening on social media. They become YouTube famous,
Yeah.
Instagram famous, we're doing different things. So that's just the mindset that many of them have, not all, but so
Right.
many of them do have that mindset that, hey, I can do this and become famous. I don't have to work hard to do what you did. I don't even have to go to school, you know, for that. Not everybody does have to go to school, in order to become successful or live the life that they think they want to have. But they need to know that at some point you're going to have to put forth the sacrifice to get what you want. You know,
Mm.
you're just gonna have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know Robin, Robin, she groomed her daughters to work. And was that a task, Robin?
No, because see, my mom groomed me that they had a saying, because see, we lived on the second and third floor. My grandmother, her mother lived on the first floor. So when my mom wasn't there to correct us or talk to us, my grandmother was there. And see, you don't have a lot of that anymore either, where grandma, granddaddy live right next door or in the same building or however, but they had a saying, Mama may have and Papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own. So
Right.
Mm.
that taught me that no matter what I did in life, I needed to make sure that I was okay and secure
Mm-hmm.
myself. And my mother showed us that by working. She
Mm-hmm.
worked. She got up. She didn't have a car.
Right.
She caught the bus and the train to downtown Boston to her job every day. So she didn't have that luxury. And being a single mother, now that my father has passed away, she had to do what she had to do to take care of her
Mm-hmm.
children. But I always saw her work. And so I ended up getting my first job at the age of 13. I worked at an ice cream parlor, and I was untruthful about my age to get the job
Yep.
because I wanted to work so bad because I thought that made me like more like an
Yeah.
adult. So,
Yeah.
and my first check was $17, and you couldn't tell me anything. But back during that time, what, 82, 83, you could buy an outfit with
Yeah.
$17. You could get a shirt and a pair of jeans and have a little bit of change to get on the bus and the train and get a cheeseburger and fries from McDonald's. So I thought I was hot stuff, and I had been working. And so I laid the foundation for my daughters. I said, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do everything right. I played when I first got out of high school and went to college. And so when the Lord gave me a chance to go back, I
Mm.
said I was going to do it with excellence, and I did. So I laid that foundation for them. And I told him all you have to do is put your mind to it. My
Right.
mother always told her, you can be anything you want to be. All you have to do is put your mind to it and go for it. So I was always a go-getter myself. Whatever I saw and I wanted it, I made sure that I could get it and that it would become mine. So it's not a hard task. And I don't know why a lot of women sometimes struggle with this, because you see broken people out just when you're out and about. You can look and tell that people are tired in their parenting, that the children won't listen,
Hmm.
they're doing things, but you have to step in and be involved
Yeah.
to help lead them the proper way. You can't just buy them a cell phone and then let them go off wherever they
Mm-hmm.
want. You got to monitor
Right.
that. See, I did those things. I monitored. I was an at-home mom at one point, my years in school. So I was a drop-off and pick-up mother. You didn't get on the bus because, see, I know on buses fights and things like
Yeah.
that take place, and I'm funny about my kids, and I didn't want to go to jail, so I'm taking you to school and picking you up, and that cut down on a lot of
Mm.
things. But I was involved. I was at PTA meetings. My mom wasn't able to do those things because she worked. So I took advantage once I started learning better in life.
Right.
Took advantage and I passed those teachings on. And
Mm-hmm.
now my daughters that have children are passing them on to theirs. So I'm very blessed in that area. But have I had challenges in my motherhood? Yes, because I have 4 daughters. And I have to always let them know it's only one queen in this castle,
I
baby.
know that's right.
So, yes, but you have to show them. You
Yeah.
have to
Right.
show them the way as well as telling them and teaching them. And I just think, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be able to show my children, because see, I have a sister that she was a single mom at the age of 16, but she worked. She didn't get to go to college, but it was saw fit for me that I did, so I took advantage, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna continue to take advantage of opportunities that are right before me, and I just want to do it in the right way and without hurting anybody. That's all.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
So, ladies, as we get ready to, believe it or not, it's almost an hour.
Wow.
So, as we get ready to wrap up, if let's go back to our original theme. If we had a message for our younger self, what would that message be?
Hmm.
So, I'm gonna let you guys start, and then I'll wrap it up with mine. So, who want to go first?
I
Okay, I'll
will.
go first.
Oh,
Oh,
you
go
can go.
ahead. Okay.
Oh, no, no.
Well,
Go ahead.
I've often thought about that question because, Cami, the promo pieces that you put out, really showed the depiction of the younger girl looking up to the older woman herself, or sometimes maybe even, another person in their life, And so if I had the opportunity to tell my younger self, what I would say to her is stay the course, right? Dream big because you can do it. Oftentimes, we as African American women will get sidetracked, or we feel like we're not good enough. I would make sure that I told myself I was good enough, which is something I try to share with the young ladies that I come in contact with. Um, for them to feel that way, to show them, avenues and ways of doing things so that they too know that they're good enough. There's oftentimes in corporate America spaces where I didn't think that I, was good enough, or I should be there. But I was there because of my level of success and the things that I had achieved along the way, not just for happenstance. So that's what I would share with my younger self.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would share with my younger selves that you are worthy.
Mm.
Mm,
And like I said, stay the course. Follow your dreams. There may be obstacles and roadblocks that get in your path, but don't get off your path. Stay on it. Like I say,
hmm.
if you got to go around them, go around them. If you got to go over it, go over it. And sometimes you have to go through it in order to get through it. You
Yes.
know, go through it to get through it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
Yes.
think I
so
just posted something like that.
yeah. So, but but definitely, but but just that you are worthy of
Mm,
every good thing that God has placed in your life.
Mm.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Studio ladies?
Did you want to go? I heard you
Well,
say
what I was going to say is, um, everybody's in my mind. Everybody has to have some red lines for themselves. Uh, but they also should know that, just because somebody is saying that, if you do this, you can get this out of it.
Right.
And it's not really sometimes doing stuff that is classified as criminal. It's just stuff that that is wrong. Like,
Hmm.
for example, people will give you a document and say, don't put any date on it because we're going to backdate it later, but we want your signature right now. You know, that is wrong. Nobody has to tell you that. But, they tell you if you want to be a team player, you're going to do all of these things.
Right.
And they just keep putting stuff in front of you like that until you have no scruples at all. Once they get you one time, they've got you for life.
Mm.
So
Mm,
don't do it the first time,
Yep.
you know,
Always do the right thing
because it's a
first.
never ending trickle of higher and higher crimes that you're going to be involved in.
All right.
Think of Rudy Giuliani. He once had a great reputation, and now he's somewhere near the garbage pile because of the stuff that he went to give credence to, and he
mm,
know he it was no reason why he didn't know that it was the wrong thing to do. So, in your mind, your kids also have to know the difference between somebody asking and somebody getting. They can ask what they want to. And sometimes you're going to get fired. You
Yeah.
may get fired, but, you don't become the next convict or something like that.
mm.
We have morals and values.
Exactly.
yes, ethics, integrity. Um,
Yes.
I would tell my younger self, first of all, don't look for love. Let love find you.
Mm.
Mm,
I would also encourage my younger self to keep going because I've always been that go getter, but I would encourage myself to keep going and don't stop and pay attention to what they're saying and what their opinions are because at the end of the day their opinions and what they're saying doesn't matter. It's all about the plan that God has for your life. So I try to live by biblical principles and I try to line my life up with that. And I would also tell myself that I can do anything because with God, all things are possible. So
Amen.
that's the standard that I live by. And I'm living it today. All things are possible because some years back, I would have never thought that this is what I would be doing. But I would tell that young girl, the young Robin, the hurt, traumatized, emotionally abused Robin, that you don't have to take abuse. You're worth more than that. And when someone says something negative about you, that's their opinion, not yours, and it's not God's opinion. Yes.
Well, we got a few people on. They said a few things. I wanted to make sure y'all saw it. Um, well, I'm gonna wrap it up by saying everything that you ladies said is dead on, dead on. Um, those were goals, those were achievements. But I'm gonna say, don't let your past make who you are today.
Don't let it
Don't let
rule you.
anything that happened in the past hold you back from being the
amen.
powerful woman you are today. And so that's, to me, that's all that matters.
Mm,
If I did something wrong and God forgave me, who are they, or who or whoever, who am I trying to please if I'm not trying to please my own self?
mm.
Amen.
God is the only person
Absolutely.
I have to answer to.
Right.
And so, what my past was, it didn't make me. It didn't make me. It
It
didn't
didn't
break
define
me. It
who
made
you
me
are.
stronger. There you
Yeah.
That's
go.
it.
There you
It
go.
didn't define who you are. Yeah. Yeah.
So, those are my words, and I'm going to stick by them. Ladies, it's been a pleasure to be on this board, this panel with you guys today. This just kind of gave Thanksgiving a more of a meaning to me. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
you have women that you look up to, and you see what they're doing, you see their goals, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you
Yes.
so much, ladies,
Yes.
for this opportunity and this panel. It was a great discussion, and I look forward to many more.
Yes. I
Absolutely.
So
enjoyed it.
nice to meet
Enjoyed
you
it.
all too.
Yeah.
Same
Yes, thank
here.
you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Cammie, for the opportunity.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you guys. I dream stuff and I have to get up and make it happen if I don't.
We know you're not gonna stop until you do, which is
Right.
Yep.
good.
Okay, guys, we'll try to do
She's a
this
go
maybe once a
getter.
month until we get it going, up and going the way we want it to be. But I absolutely love the energy. I love that we're doing what we were put here to do. So we're going to
Yeah.
wrap it up by letting you guys talk about your business, tell people how to get in contact with you, and then after we get done with that, I'll do SKST, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, let's start with you, Tanya.
All right. Well, thank you again. And you can find us at www.lincolnschoolproject.com. And again, my husband and I purchased the segregation era one room school for African American students in West Plains, Missouri. And we are under construction right now and appreciate any and all support. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Preserving history is what we're trying to do.
I love
Awesome.
it.
That is cool.
Yes.
Well, you can find me, Suzanne's Creations, at www. blah, the three W's, Suzanne's Creations square site for all handcrafted jewelry that I make, and on Instagram at underscore Suzanne's.
Okay. Ladies in the studio?
Um, you can reach me at Evangelist Robin Roundtree, 757-712-9012. It's too much to name off right now, and I am in the process of getting a website together. So you can just call me, and I'll be glad to help you with what you need help with. And if I can't, then I also have resources that I can put you in touch with what you need.
Absolutely.
Okay, my business is Hogan's Now and Then at 3160 Magic Hollow Boulevard next door. And I have a website, hogansnowandthen.com, for the majority of the things that I can offer. I try to find things that are affordable uh, and quality for people in the middle class. So thank you.
Well, that's her customer, guys. Middle class. You got to have some money because her stuff is nice and it's expensive, but it's beautiful. So yeah, you got to have some duckies if you're going to shop at her store. Okay, guys. So I'm Cami Grayson, the SKST Radio Network and Street Grind Entertainment, and this is the end of the first panel of Girl Talk, and we're going to do many, many more. And to reach us is www.skstradio.com, or I'm Googleable. Just Google Cami Grayson, and you'll find us everywhere on social media. Okay, guys. Until next time, tell everyone bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. It
Take
was
care.
nice
Thank
meeting you.
y'all as well.
Those too.